the most horrifying story probably I've ever seen in the news. We've been talking about it for a couple of days, this live action story about how in DC there were 5 babies who were killed through abortion, and now a whistleblower brought these bodies. There were photographs taken. A pro-life activist broke the story. And so the authorities are, of course, investigating the pro-lifers. They're letting the abortionists off the hook. They're investigating the pro-lifers. It's not just 5 babies, by the way. This has happened well over 100 times. And they've only got evidence of the 5. They've only got physical evidence of the 5. Well, it turns out Live Action has a clip of the abortionist, this butcher, who committed these atrocities. And this goes back years now. And he admitted that he was allowing, in violation of the law, allowing babies who were born alive simply to die. Take a listen.
Obviously, you're here for a certain procedure, and if your pregnancy were, let's say you went into labor, the membrane's ruptured, and you delivered before we got to the termination part of the procedure here, you know, then we would do things, we would not help it.
Okay.
Let's say we wouldn't intubate.
Okay.
Okay.
So you would make sure.
Yeah, we wouldn't do any extra. You know, it's like it would be, you know, a person that would be a terminal person in the hospital. Let's say that had cancer. You know, you wouldn't do any extra procedures to help that person survive.
Okay.
They had like do not resuscitate orders.
Okay.
You know, we would do the same things here.
Okay.
Whereas if you were in a hospital in Virginia, let's say, and you went into labor and you went to the hospital and then they saw you deliver, they would do everything possible to help that fetus survive.
Okay, but you won't.
We wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it. You know the thing that all the hospitals do because that's the law? We don't do that here. You know how they help the fetus survive? Even if you're going to use a silly word like fetus instead of baby. People say fetus because they don't want to admit that a baby in the womb is a baby. The fetus, quote unquote, stops being a fetus by any definition once he's out of the womb. So then what he's saying is we wouldn't help the fetus survive. He's saying we wouldn't help the baby survive. So do that here. He talks about, oh, this poor woman, she went to the hospital once because her abortion didn't work out for her. And then she gave birth to the baby and they wouldn't let her kill the baby. This guy, how many times has he done this? It's almost funny. If not for the incredible suffering involved, it would almost be funny how ghoulish this guy sounds. His name is Dr. Cesare Santangelo. You probably haven't even heard that name. Dr. Cesare Santangelo. This guy, we talk about Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin's a butcher. He's committing war crimes. Sure. We talk about people like Bashar Assad, the dictator in Syria. He's a butcher. He's committed war crimes. Sure. Cesare Santangelo is just as bad, probably worse, because he's focusing all of it on innocent little babies. That's his job. That's how he makes his money, in violation of the law. He seems to know it. Stone cold psychopath. The guy should, at the very least, be locked up for the rest of his life. Frankly, I would recommend a harsher punishment from the civil authority than that. And this name, no one even knows this name. You should be posting this name. You should be publicizing this name. Cesare Santangelo, the worst killer, the worst serial killer, murderer in this country right now. Who knows? Who knows how many victims he's got? Maybe the worst in American history. Shine a light on that. All of the entrenched powers are trying to cover up for this psycho and trying to bury the bodies, actually trying to incinerate the bodies without even doing an autopsy. Don't let him get away with it. I'm glad you liked that clip. Now, subscribe. Ring that bell. Get the notifications. Better yet, subscribe to The Michael Knowles Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Leave a 5-star review. We'll see you next time.